Good evening, SICW fans. Brian Whitaker here with promoter Herb Simmons, coming off a night of nonstop wrestling action at the East Carondelet Community Center. Herb, I couldn't make it last night, and judging on the pictures and video I've seen, I missed a great night.
Well, and we want to thank all of the fans. We made an announcement last night, Dr. Drew did, that those in attendance were taking videos and pictures. We asked them to tag us in it because some people can't make it, and they want to keep up with what's going on with SICW. And, boy, we've been checking those pictures out throughout the night. And today, fans, as always, been sending me their compliments in on the show. Everybody, it was an electrifying crowd from the start of the opening bell until they poured out of there at night. Everybody just, a few rabbits were pulled out of the hats. They keep saying, boy, you always get over on us, and there was no exception last night when you have people like Travis Cook that you like.
Oh, of course, my good buddy Travis.
Yeah, he's always stirring it up, and of course the SICW champion Curtis Wilde made an appearance. He was not scheduled on the card. He's been playing.
Rumor has it he had to buy a ticket to get into the event last night.
Had to buy 2 tickets again, one for him and his number one Ginjib. They thought they were going to stay, but he's trying to push the envelope of wanting to do what he wants and when he wants to do it. And as the SICW champion, he represents the company, plus he represents the SICW fans. And he has to learn that there are that telephone, he has to answer it, and he has to get back when we're leaving messages, because as we're putting these cards together, as the fans are chanting paper champion, and we're not going to.
And he's doing that to himself.
He's doing that to himself. So he wasn't scheduled, but he came, and he did make a interview. Dr. Drew allowed him to do that, but then I told him he had to leave, and then if he wanted to come back, because he said he had an investment in the main event, and I said, well, you can come back and buy a ticket if you want. So he bought 2 tickets, and he sat in the audience, and of course we'll talk about that a little later on. We weren't happy with what happened there, and we're going to have to just take a real hard look at our SICW champion.
Absolutely. Well, let's jump into it. Let's talk to the fans a little bit about some of that action last night from the opening contest.
We had every match was great, as always, at an SICW event. All of them just top-notch main events as far as I'm concerned. P.T. Beckham, a gentleman, made his return to SICW a month or 2 ago. Really got a match thrown at him last night. The self-proclaimed king of SICW, Chris Hargis, of course, Travis Cook at ringside. But P.T. Beckham, a young man, gonna go a long way in this business. Gave a real good accounting of himself. Great match. Came up short, but I could tell he learned a lot in that match, and I look for good things out of P.T. Beckham as we move into 2020 especially.
Well, I agree. P.T. Beckham, a good up-and-coming wrestler, and one of the problems you're having now with the expansion of the Travis Cook organization, he's being involved in many more matches than what you would normally have occur.
Yes, and then we've got the Ace Wrestling Academy going on. We've got some students in there that are making a good try getting out there of Ace, Cowboy Bob Orton, Sean Vinson, Ricky Cruz, people like that into the Ace Academy, working with some of these newcomers, and we're having to develop some of our new people, and that's what we want. A lot of our veterans, 20-plus years in there, so we need some of that young blood, and that's we're going to be talking about a seminar that's going to be coming up on November the 2nd. But as we moved through last night, our second match, we saw the return of Keith Smith Jr., had been absent for a few months, came back, went against a student of the Ace Wrestling Academy, Ray Strangler Lewis. Keith Smith, showing his family tradition, is still alive and well, using the figure 4 leg lock to secure the win over Lewis. And the fans really love Keith Smith Jr., and you're going to be seeing a lot more of him as we move into next year also.
Absolutely. Keith Smith Jr., coming from that long line of wrestling family, nice to see him continue some of the some of the family tradition there with that figure four leg lock.
Exactly, and his mother and father was there cheering him on, so it's always great. Keith Smith, Senior, one of the greatest in the local Midwest, old school warrior, what we call him, and it's always great to have the Smith family with us. Another match that I really was interested in, popular Gil Rogers and Gary Jackson, your favorite team, I think.
Actually, a great tag team, very technical wrestlers, but not afraid to get down and dirty if they need to.
Well, last night they had to do that because they went against two of the biggest in the business, and I'm talking about the big Texan that takes no prisoners, and of course a newcomer making his first SICW debut in the East Carolina Community Center. We're talking about the Butcher, Damian Blade, and this guy is a force to be reckoned with. And that tag match, I mean, it was back and forth. It was an all-out war, all four of them. At times they were all in there. So I think you're going to hear a lot out of the combination. You know, with the tag titles out there now, everybody is on the pursuit of those tag titles.
New up-and-coming tag teams, good professional wrestlers like the Gary Jacksons and the Gil Rogers saying, hey, let's go together and put our talents together and achieve greatness.
Exactly. And speaking of the tag titles, the professionals, one of the most legit tag team combinations in the Midwest have been for years. Marlon McDarby and Sean Santel hold those tag titles for SICW, and they're not ashamed to brag about that. They're the first ever tag team title holders for SICW in 46 years, so that's something to be proud of right there.
And they've been defending them well here recently.
They did that last night, in fact, successfully against Sid Holland and Sean Barron's. A tough match. Sean and Sid, two big individuals. You know, if you notice, Brian, SICW, the big boys show up there.
Those are definitely two of the biggest men I've seen in the business.
But I got to tell you, the professionals, there's one thing that you can always know about them. They're going to do whatever it takes to win, and they proved that last night, not only in that match, but later on one of the students of the Ace Wrestling Academy, who's had several matches now, really learning under the Ace Cowboy Bob Orton. Bob's kind of taken a liking to Chris Cade, and he did an interview last night. He wasn't on the card, but showed up, and Dr. Drew was interviewing him and talking about what it's like being at the Ace Academy and how much he's learning. And, of course, the professionals came out, and I thought that they were going to come out and, you know, tell the young man, you know, he's doing a good job, but they kind of bombarded him and excuse me, and kind of worked him over at ringside. And but I got to tell you, Chris Cade got back up and said, you know, you can knock me down and you can keep knocking me down, but the Ace Cowboy Bob Orton told me I got to keep getting back up, and that's what he did last night. So another student of the Ace Academy that I think that we're going to be seeing a lot of in the near future.
Well, Herb, as we sit here and talk about the Ace Academy, let's take a look at a little video from Cowboy Bob Orton himself about what he does to train these professionals to bring them up in the wrestling business and teach them what is necessary to become those champions of organizations like SICW. perfect time to talk about that Ace Wrestling Academy and the champions that it's producing from a man like Cowboy Bob Orton and some of the great SICW professionals that are working with him on a weekly basis.
Well, and you see there, the Cowboy Bob Orton gets in there and works with these students and is teaching them the business and how to do it the right way. And that's what we like, and I think that's what separates the Ace Wrestling Academy from other organizations and their academies. It's not about just anybody can come in there and teach. It's Bob Orton requires that his instructors be in it for several years and have some experience herself, and it's paying off in the likes of people like Chris Cade, P.T. Beckham, and so on and so forth. So it's really good.
When you talk about some of those that are helping him, one of the big one is the SICW ambassador, Sean Vincent, and he had a tough opponent last night.
Had a tough opponent. Yes, Sean runs the Ace Academy for me and does a lot for the students there, getting them organized, making sure they are learning and getting the best bang for their buck, and it's really paying off. But he did have a match last night, and like I said, he's been in the business a long time himself. But he went in there last night, and it was kind of like two veterans in there, Ken Casa, the new Ken Casa.
So yeah, the new member of the Travis Cook organization.
Yes.
So that unfortunately makes Ken less favorable in my book. He was a great professional wrestler and didn't need to be a part of the Travis Cook organization.
No, he didn't. And Sean, like I said, he held his own, got in there, and actually got the 1, 2, 3 over Ken Casa, and then got out in the fans and celebrated with the fans. There were some pictures being posted up, and it was really good seeing Sean do that as the ambassador for SICW and scoring that victory over Ken Casa.
Absolutely. Yeah. And another big match last night, you saw the return of another member of the Travis Cook organization and Superstar Steve Fender.
Well, Superstar Steve Fender, it's no secret, man trained by Harley Race, has been in the business a long, long time. And when you talk about, you look in the dictionary and the word tough, you'll see Superstar Steve Fender's name. And but he went against another popular individual, Billy McNeil, that can get in there and just as tough as nails. And it was such a phenomenal match that I've actually rescheduled a rematch for them on Saturday, November the 2nd at Swansea, because the fans just was, I mean, they were sitting on the edge of their seats. I mean, for 15 solid minutes, it was back and forth, and everything that the superstar Steve Fender, along with Travis Cook at ringside, threw at Billy McNeil, Billy was able to counteract it, and so I'm really excited about how that rematch turns out on November the 2nd.
Absolutely. Well, Herb, one other thing we need to talk about from last night is that main event, and like I said, I couldn't make it last night, but that main event was a tag team match. And as I look at this picture here, there's a little bit more to be involved in that than a simple tag match.
Well, yeah, it was a tag match between the big 444-pound Kowalski and, of course, the Mongolian guy from Mongolia, Telekan, who we know that he thrives on pain, and both of these big men, I've named them the Pyre of Pain because they both really bring it. And they were going against two former SICW champions and the King of Chaos, Ricky Cruz, and of course Flash Flanagan. And of course this was one that actually broke down. I mean, it was a tough battle from the opening bell to the point where Curtis Wilde, we talked about, he had to buy tickets. He was sitting at ringside. He injected himself into the action, pulled the referee out of the ring, causing actually a disqualification. But then Flash Flanagan took a kind of a beat down, and thanks to Gil Rogers and Gary Jackson came in, and there was chairs involved in it. Then, of course, Travis Cook is laying down challenges.
See a few kendo sticks there.
Oh, yeah. And so, we can go ahead and talk about it. I mean, after the match, I got together with Flash and There's going to be a match that I've already signed late last night for that Saturday, November the 2nd in Swansea, Illinois, for that big fundraiser. And it's going to be a no disqualification match, and it's going to be Flash Flanagan against Telecon. So I think the fans at Swansea Fire Department is going to like that.
Definitely a match to remember. Before we get into talking about the November 2nd at Swansea, let's hear from one of our great sponsors who's also sponsoring the Swansea match, from Keller Williams Realty, Barry Schulhofer.
Barry Schulhofer grew up in the Smoky Mountains of North Carolina, where he learned the importance of God, country, family, and the outdoors. Barry served almost 23 years in the U.S. Air Force, so he understands the unique lifestyle and challenges of being a military family, and is particularly qualified to assist military families in finding their new home. Licensed in both Illinois and Missouri, Barry loves the outdoors and has experience in land and farm sales. Barry Schulhofer is a realtor with the Keller Williams Marquee Realty and is a member of the Keller Williams Land Network. Barry is ready to help you turn your dream of land, home, or farm ownership into reality. For all your property sales and purchasing needs, contact Barry at area code 618-407-1764.
Well, Herb, you heard it there. Barry Schulhofer, a friend of first responders, a friend of professional wrestling, and a great sponsor of the Wrestling in the Firehouse that returns to Swansea on Saturday, November 2nd for the 6th consecutive year.
I'm really excited about that. You know, anytime you can go back to an establishment, anytime, whether it be 1 year, 2 years, that tells you you're doing the right thing. And this is our 6th year helping the Swansea firefighters for their fundraiser, and I am really excited about this, not only because we have the greatest talent in the locker room, and you've heard us talk about some of them here this evening, you know, the Sean Vincents, the Gil Rogers, the Gary Jacksons, Flash Flanagans, Ricky Cruz, the entire locker room, top to bottom. So when you add them on a card, but then you bring in 3 legends. J.J. Dillon, the man who held the Four Horsemen together for many, many years, was there last year with us in Swansea. He's coming back, and he's coming with a couple of friends, and we're talking about the enforcer of the Four Horsemen, Arn Anderson, and, of course, Barry Windham, somebody who's not been out on the circuit much of late, but he's coming to SICW along with my good friend Charlie Armstrong from Gimmick Tree Entertainment. We're putting this together. It's going to be a night to remember. I'm going to tell you, they'll be there. A seminar will take place starting at 11 a.m. at the firehouse. We've got several students today even. I think we signed up 3 more that's going to be there for the seminar with Barry Windham and J.J. Dillon.
Absolutely, and you mentioned the seminar. Barry Windham, a avid professional wrestler, took on the likes of many, to include Ric Flair. Let's take a look at this seminar that's coming up, and a little action involving Barry Windham.
Very good.
He caught a chop, and it was Barry Windham firing back another chop into the throat and another into the throat. And now Windham pounding in some hard right hands to the side of the jaw of the champion. The champion started to stumble forward. As he did, Windham caught him. I'll tell you what, you can't take a thing away from this man, Ric Flair. 3 times NWA World Heavyweight Champion, an outstanding athlete. And I've said it before about him, a man with a, if you will, born with a silver spoon in his mouth. Came from a very, very wealthy professional family. And he chose his one greatest love, and that is professional wrestling. Minnesota State Amateur Heavyweight Champion. And it's Windham exploding again.
Windham, Barry trying to hook him. Looks like he's trying to get him in the Boston crowd. Flair blocking him. Flair keeping him blocked. Barry tough after it, though. He's not going to quit that easy. He knows he's got Flair hurt. He can sense he's got him hurt. He's trying to turn him in. He's got him. He's got him in the Boston crowd.
A full Boston crowd, and the crowd is going absolutely wild right now as they can sense that Barry Windham is very close indeed. to possibly making the NWA World Heavyweight Champion submit. Wyndham keeping the pressure on the champion. There's got to be intense pain coursing through his body right now, and he is desperately trying to inch his way over to those ring ropes. And that's about the only thing that can save him now, Mike.
Right now, that's about all that can save him, unless he can power out, unless he can catch Barry, take a breath, catch him relax, and got enough strength in his legs to straighten him out. But right now, I think he's going into the rope. He's going into the rope to break the hold. Just like a quarterback throwing the ball out of bounds, or just like they do in all sports, there are ways to save time, and that's what Ric Flair did just then to save his title, is get into the ropes.
And Flair having a real problem getting up now. The result of that earlier situation with the ring ropes, and now this application of the full Boston Crab. And Flair, the world champion, is in trouble, and now Barry Windham opens up one to the midsection. Windham now trying to set him for a high vertical suplex, brings him way, way up.
Well, Herb, there it was, Barry Windham putting the hurt on Ric Flair, and now the wrestlers are going to have the opportunity to learn from the likes of Barry Windham and J.J. Dillon on November 2nd in Swansea.
Yeah, and I've had several wrestlers call and say, is Iron Anderson going to be involved? And the reason right now we haven't advertised him being there is kind of his travel arrangements. He's got an engagement the night before, so we're not sure if he's going to be able to get in. So we didn't want to say Iron was going to be a part of the seminar and then him not be able to be there. So if he can make it, it'll be a bonus for those who sign up. And to say that you were in the ring with the Iron Andersons and the Barry Windham and J.J. Dillon is going to be a bonus. But right now, it's J.J. Dillon and Barry Windham. So keep that in mind that, you're going to be able to put that on your resume, that you're going to be able for 3-4 hours listen to Barry Windham and J.J. Dillon tell you the right way. And this isn't for somebody who just wakes up tomorrow and says, I'm going to be a wrestler. You got to have some experience. You got to call that number that you saw, 618-286-4848. You have to sign up. There's some questions that you'll be asked, and we'll determine if you're a candidate for that seminar. It's $40 for the seminar to be able to say that you were actually taught a little bit from those two guys.
Absolutely, and that's 11 a.m. on Saturday, November 2nd at the Firehouse. You talked a little bit about this earlier, but let's go into some of the main matches that have already been scheduled for November 2nd.
Yeah, we're still working on putting the cards together, but due to some of the outcomes from last night's attractions in East Grondolet, we've signed the main event for that night. I did have a conversation today with the SICW champion, and I think he understands my position.
So he returned your phone call, or he answered the phone?
Well, yes. When he got forced out of there, the referees got him out of the building last night when he interjected himself. One of the first phone calls I received this morning was from him, or it's actually from his number one Ginger, Wildfire, and I didn't want to talk to her. My arrangements is with him. So he got on the phone, and we came to a mutual understanding. And so he will be November the 2nd at the Swansea Firehouse. The title will be on the line, and he's going against one of your favorites, Gary Jackson.
The Night Train.
The
Gary
Night Train,
Jackson.
the man who lives by the 4 rules. And believe it or not, our good friend Jerry Bullion was the loudest cheer, and he got everybody chanting when Gary was given the rules last night.
Well, he likes the new rules, and he approves of the new rules.
Yes, he does, and that's one thing about Jerry. I've known Jerry for many, many years, and he gets his mind set on something, and he told me all along, he said there was one of those rules is the reason why he didn't support Gary Jackson, and when Gary came out with the new shirts with the new rules on it, now Jerry is the number one fan for Gary Jackson.
Absolutely.
So
let's talk about this second main event. This isn't the first time Attila Khan has been involved in a no disqualification match at the Swansea Firehouse. But with the bounty that the Travis Cook organization has out on Flash Flanagan and the battles these two men have had before, this bears to be the match of a decade there.
Well, I got to tell you, I'm a little concerned about this one because you just hit the nail on the head. Travis Cook still has the bounty. He talked about that last night when that whole main event broke down. It's going to be a night that we're going to have to keep an eye on of all aspects around that ring. But Flash Flanagan wanted it, and Flash is a veteran, has been everywhere, Japan, Puerto Rico, Mexico, you name it. This guy is, when you talk about a man who can take a beating and keep on going, it's Flash Flanagan. So it will be a no disqualification match between him and the Mongolian monster, Telekan. And as you said, we've seen what a Telekan and Ricky Cruz, the battle that they had. Mm-hmm. This has all the makings of being just as gruesome, if not raising the bar on that a little bit itself. So we're going to have to really keep an eye on this one. And if you're a wrestling fan, if you're a Flash Flanagan fan, you need to come out and see this one, I can tell you.
Absolutely. And you mentioned this earlier, but it needs to be mentioned again, the rematch battle between Billy McNeil and superstar Steve Fender. I'm excited to watch that match because I didn't get to see it last night, but from everything I see and hear, them two battled for 15 minutes, and it's going to be another great return to the Swansea Firehouse.
Yeah, it's Billy McNeil, popular Billy McNeil, as I like to call him, is going to really step it up because superstar Steve Fender, as I said, the man knows all the tricks of the trade. But I was impressed with that match last night, and so many of the fans came up and they wanted 5 more minutes last night. But I thought, let's just wait, and we'll put this up for one of the matches on November the 2nd. And I think the Swansea Fire Department will like it, and I think the fans from the Swansea area are going to really enjoy seeing Billy McNeil and superstar Steve Fender go at it one more time.
Absolutely. So just to repeat, there's Saturday, November 2nd, SICW-Wrestling in the Firehouse returns to the Swansea Fire Department, 144 Huntwood Road. Tickets are selling fast. Call 618-971-5409 to reserve your seats. Make sure you don't miss out on a minute of that action that night. Lots of sponsorships being sold. Sponsors are still available. And Beast Craft Barbecue has announced their return this year. They've been with us since the beginning. Their 6th year providing the concessions for Wrestling in the Firehouse. So all in all, it's bound to be a great night at the Swansea Fire Department.
It's going to be a great night. Like I said, SICW, Beastcraft Barbecue, Swansea Fire Department, what a trifecta. The wrestling seminar starts at 11 o'clock that morning. At 4 o'clock, the meet and greet of Arn Anderson, Barry Windham, J.J. Dillon. There will be several of the SICW stars there. They'll have their shirts and whatever they may have. They sell their items. Mm-hmm. And then they're understand maybe some of our sponsors may be there. Yep. With a booth set up. So it's going to be all day on Saturday, November 2nd at the Swansea Firehouse. We are really looking forward to coming back there. And what I really am excited about, raising some funds for the fire department.
Absolutely, and we're excited to have it back. And you talk about some of our sponsors being there. One of the sponsors we know is confirmed they're going to be in attendance is that of CBD Hemp USA. So let me tell you a little bit about their business. SICW would like to welcome our new sponsor, CBD Hemp USA. They produce innovative, one-of-a-kind, custom-formulated products. CBD Hemp USA is the king of flavored tinctures with many organic extract flavors to choose from, as well as exotic flavors such as white chocolate strawberry, salted caramel, and s'mores. CBD is known for helping people get off numerous prescription medications. It can relieve symptoms of discomfort from a vast amount of ailments and is an excellent anti-inflammatory. Pro wrestling superstars Tommy Dreamer and Val Venus have spoken out on the use of the benefits of CBD for pain relief and anxiety. The benefits don't stop there. If you're interested in making some additional money and becoming an independent sales representative and owning your very own CBD business, interested in starting your own business or trying some of the CBD Hemp USA products, text or call Lynn Morris at 618-806-1616. We're glad to have them as a proud sponsor of SICW Wrestling. Well, Herb, we could talk and talk about November 2nd. Definitely a lot more to happen, a lot more to be announced on what's going to occur. But I think it's time we move on down the road and take it back a little old school when we're talking about Saturday, November 16th, back in the East Carondelet Community Center. Another legend's going to be in the house.
Well, when we announced last night, as we have been in the last several months, that on Saturday, November the 16th, the Boogie Woogie Man, Jimmy Valiant, when we announced that last night, all the fans there, the old school wrestling fans, remember the Boogie Woogie Man, and he's going to be right there in the East Carondelet Community Center on Saturday night, November the 16th, and he will be in there, and I can assure you he's going to be dancing, and he's always a crowd pleaser. In fact, I've been talking to him, and he's got one more year. In 2020, he's going to be retiring after all these years. So
well, what a way to go out is
what a way to go
spending
out.
some time at SICW East Carondelet, a house that is going to be welcoming him with open arms.
Oh, exactly. I mean, he's from the old school, and that's what SICW is all about. And we're really looking forward to having Jimmy Valiant, the Boogie Woogie Man, with us on November the 16th.
Well, Herb, you talk about old school and the way wrestling at the Chase and old school wrestling came up. One of the big sponsors that you always mention is Anheuser-Busch and Busch Bavarian Beer. Let's hear from one of today's sponsors that continues to support that Anheuser-Busch and professional wrestling, and that's Grey Eagle Distributing.
A cold beverage and SICW action goes together. When you reach for that cold beverage, reach for the best. For the best, it's that Anheuser-Busch product from Grey Eagle Distributing. From the late 1950s, Anheuser-Busch was the sponsor of Wrestling at the Chase. Now Grey Eagle Distributing in Belleville, Illinois continues that history of sponsoring SICW. Remember, when you want that cold, refreshing beverage, reach for the best, that Grey Eagle product.
Yeah, we have Grey Eagle Distributing, our good friend Matt Brown, our representative that helps us with the posters each and every month. I can't thank him enough. Grey Eagle Distributing, as we've showed you before, back in late 50s, the 60s, Anheuser-Busch was the premier sponsor of Wrestling at the Chase. In fact, we've got that old clip that we use every now and then to remind people that that's what SICW is all about. And I really like it when some of these wrestlers that's been in it for several years come and say, Herb, that's what we like about it. You're doing it old school. And as you and I have talked about, Brian, wrestling is kind of on the uphill side of a roller coaster now. And
Absolutely.
Sam Muchnick has always said that, every 10, 15, 20 years, it'll reach the top and it'll plunge. Everybody's excited about what's going on with the AEWs and the ROHs and the TNAs and the NXTs and the ABCs, all the letters of the wrestling business. And I'm excited, but I'm more excited about the fans of SICW that continue to support us because without them, you don't need sponsors and you don't need a good locker room, but we're fortunate to have that combination of good workers, good wrestlers, good fans, and I couldn't be any happier than what we're doing.
Absolutely. And when we're talking about being in the Belleville area with Grey Eagle Distributors, let's talk about November 23rd, the inaugural fundraiser back in Belleville. SICW is returning.
Really looking forward to this one because this is our first event helping the Little Devils Wrestling at their inaugural fundraiser. Our good friend Bobby D is one of the coaches, and this is a worthwhile cause, helping this organization raise some funds. And Saturday night, November the 23rd, at Citizens Park in Belleville, Illinois, they're selling tickets for that. You're going to be hearing a lot more about that. The card's getting put together for it, so keep an eye and mark that on your calendar, Saturday, November the 23rd.
And let's hear from another great SICW sponsor in Allstate Insurance and Al O'Relt.
The law in Illinois requires you to have auto insurance, and Allstate is the one to have. For the best, check out our good friend to SICW, Al O'Relt, from Allstate Insurance. They offer the best in coverage on home, auto, and all your other insurance needs. O'Relt Insurance has 2 convenient locations to serve you better. One in Cahokia at 414 Range Lane, and in Belleville at 1030 Carlisle Avenue. Tell Al O'Relt and his staff you heard about the great deals here on the SICW Weekly Update.
Well, Herb Relt, always a good supporter of SICW Wrestling, and that has not changed.
No, I saw Al on Friday night, and he tunes in on Sunday nights. He's on there tonight watching us, and he's really appreciates the plug we give him, and said he's picked up a few new customers because he has the best in insurance deals. So check him out, and he'll save you some money.
Absolutely. And Herb, let's move into that last match of the year, the Holiday Spectacular. East Carondelet, Saturday, December 28th. Wrestling will return.
Exactly. Always holiday spectacular in December. Santa Claus is usually with us there. Always have a great card as always, but it's a great way to wind down what has really been a good year. 2019 is, as you know, Brian, there was talk that we were going to ended at the end of 2019, and with a lot of much persuasion, we're already booking dates into 2020.
Well, you did. You just announced 12 dates into 2020. I'm sure after SICW returns to the Swansea Firehouse on November 2nd, that show will be one to remember and ready to book 2020 in Swansea.
Yeah, and you can check those dates out on our website. Why don't you tell them how to...
Absolutely. Visit SICW.org. All the dates are posted up there. We keep the latest information about the upcoming shows, and definitely a place to track down and mark your calendars for those dates as they get announced in 2020.
Well, we also posted the South Broadway Athletic Club dates because that's our sister organization over there. Tony Costa, Jim Harris, we work together, and we don't cross dates over. We work together. We had to switch one date back already talking about December of 2020. So as we said before, we always think ahead in what we do with our two organizations. And Scott Z from New Breed Wrestling, another group that I work with. Scott was at our show last night. I appreciate him making the trip up. He's got a show at the end of this month. I'm going to try to get down to Eldon, Missouri. But it just goes to show you that if you want to work together, you can. And when we're doing that at SICW and the MMWA and New Breed Wrestling, and the dates are up on our website. We're actually looking forward to 2020.
2020 is going to be a great year. As we wrap up tonight, let's hear from another great SICW sponsor in Brooks Motor Company from Columbia, Illinois.
If you're looking for that pre-owned, low-mileage vehicle, Brooks Motor Company is the place. Check out their large inventory of pre-owned cars, trucks, and motorcycles. Tell Bobby and Charlie Brooks you heard about their great deals here at the SICW Weekly Update. That's Brooks Motor Company, 8818 Summer Road, Columbia, Illinois. Family owned and operated since 2006.
Well, Herb, Brooks Motor Company, always a great supporter of SICW Wrestling, and the place to go if you're looking for that pre-owned automobile.
Always. Bobby Brooks and his dad, Charlie, great friends. That's family-owned, operated business. If you're looking for that pre-owned car, that's where you want to go, Brooks Motor Company in Columbia, Illinois.
Absolutely. Well, Herb, it's been another great Sunday night. Glad to wrap up from the action that happened here in East Carondelet last night, and to think we're just 2 weeks away from Saturday, November 2nd at the Swansea Firehouse.
Swansea Firehouse, don't forget, seminar starts at 11 a.m. It will go for 3-4 hours, depending on how Barry Windham and J.J. Dillon wants, how much they want to teach everybody. But then we'll have a meet and greet with Iron Anderson and Barry Windham, J.J. Dillon, some of the SICW stars at 4 o'clock. 6 o'clock, the doors open to the general public. Tickets are $15, and that gets you into the
meet and greet and into the event.
Show. Best price around, can't beat it anywhere. And then 7 o'clock, the bell rings, and we'll have the batches all tightened down because it's going to be a wild one.
It is going to be a night to remember in the Swansea Firehouse, and we plan for it every year, and you never know what kind of excitement's going to occur when the talent returns to Swansea.
I want to give a special shout out to our good friend Bill Apter. His birthday is coming up this Tuesday. I sent him a message because I'm going to be out of town myself, and I didn't want to forget about it. But I knew tonight would be a good time. He follows our live Facebook feed here. So, Bill, it's always a pleasure of talking with you, and you have done so much for the wrestling business. I hope you have a happy birthday and many, many more in the future. And as you always said, we hope to see you at the matches.